Hi everybody, Scott here. In this video I want to talk about the importance of actualizing our NI. I'm going to try and make this quick, but we'll see how we go. I remember when I was in sixth form, I think it was, in New Zealand, which I think I was about 16 years old. I had a really good English teacher. Now I didn't do a lot at school. Just I didn't connect with school much at all, and with teachers generally at all in school. Without going into all of that, I had one teacher that I remember to this day, Mrs. Christensen, who was an English teacher, and I could just tell that she cared about people, and I could tell that she believed in me, and I hadn't really experienced that before. And it's vague memories now, going back a long way, but I just remember there being a real positive atmosphere. And I think what it did is it allowed me to be comfortable enough to access my NI. Now, I wouldn't have thought of this at the time or for a long time, but I remember we were given a creative writing project to do. And I think it was a creative project like just write a story. And because of this atmosphere, because I felt accepted and relaxed, and there was like a harmonious environment, like she handled the class well so that everyone could achieve their own individual potential. No particular person was controlling the classroom and things like this. It enabled a space for me to, I think, move into my creative side. Now, this is well before I knew anything about the MBTI or INFJ, NI, and all of that. But I wrote one line that I remember to this day because it was an insight into. This might sound odd when I say what the sentence was, but it was an insight into my intuition, my ability to use words creatively, and an insight into probably where I was at the time as a 16-year-old. And the line was, "Life was a merry-go-round of confusion." And I remember writing that, and then I was like, "That's a clever sentence. This is really like." And it was, I think, the first time that I was able to actualize some of what needed to come out of me, for a lot of reasons, but I'm looking at it particularly through just the NI lens here, because it then spoke back to me. And then years later, I remember thinking back, yeah, that must have been where I was at the time as a 16-year-old. And just that atmosphere enabled me to actualize some of what was in me in a way that then was able to speak back to me. And so that's just a small. It was an important story for me, but it's really to illustrate this importance of creating an environment for ourselves where we can allow our NI to be actualized. And I would like to take a moment just to let you know that I'm a professional counsellor and have been practicing since 2009. If that is of interest to you, feel free to email me, or if you would like more information, please visit my website. Now, we're all going to be at different places. Our lives are all very different from one another in a lot of ways. So what this might look like for one person is going to look different for the next person. But just this idea of creating an environment to let whatever the truth is within to come out. Now, it could just be more of a sort of an existential kind of, like, in a sense, I think that line that I had as the start of my story was somewhat existential. It was, maybe that's not the right word, but it was like it spoke a lot, and there was a lot in there for me to eventually unpack in my life. But what I'm trying to get at is, for one person, it might be just getting a pen and paper down and start writing and seeing what comes out. For someone else, it might be going and talking to someone, just having a conversation if they're in an NITI loop. For another, it could be, I have some ideas. I want to look at developing them. So for someone, it might be a business or a book or um, maybe their own YouTube channel. It could be anything that they want to do in the world, whether it's a career, studies, anything. And I think INFJs can get lost in the sensory world in a way that causes them to get stuck in their NITI and not develop, or there's a delay in developing themselves because they can get stuck in that place. And the need to do something. It's like that scripture that talks about faith without works is dead. It's like INFJs can come up with all sorts of ideas, come up with all sorts of creative things to do and be and see and so on. But without taking action, it doesn't go anywhere. It's just a nice fuzzy feeling in their head, whereas some of these ideas need to be put out in the world and need to be actualized. There was a time, number of years ago now, where being a counsellor was just a thought that I spoke to someone once. I said, I think I'd make a good counsellor, and that speaking that out then led to most of my life in a lot of ways. Now, for me, that was connected with my faith because, it was just a weird thing for me to say at that time in my life, but it was like someone gave me an atmosphere, a space where I could sit with myself and speak the truth, and out of my mouth came, I think I'd make a good counsellor. So it's really important that we both, as adults, that we create an environment around ourselves that enables ideas to come forward. But also, once we've got those ideas, we need to then find ways of actualizing them into reality and pursue those things. And I remember a good friend of mine saying once that it tends to pay to take risks with your strengths. And NI is a strength. What it comes up with is often a strength. It's good to test our ideas out with people that we trust, because some of them could be, just not realistic, or just not even that, but they need to match reality to some extent, So just a silly example, an 80-year-old, it's probably not a good idea that they try and become an astronaut. It's like maybe not, maybe spend your energy doing something else. So just that idea that there needs to be a pathway for us to actualize our ideas and our creativity. But oftentimes we need to start walking in that direction for that to start to open up and work its way. We need to take those steps towards what we're intuiting, and then things may start to open up. We have a conversation with someone that opens up something that leads to another conversation with somebody else that leads to something else that opens things up, and the path becomes clearer as we pursue the idea. But this is really just a video to encourage people. If you've got those ideas, if you've got that creativity, that it's sitting in you, now might be the time to take some action towards actualizing your NI, so that it can become both a blessing to others and a blessing to yourself. So I hope that this is an encouragement to you, and I'll see you in another video. For those that may wish to support my video making, I do have a Patreon account. Support can start at as little as $1.50 Australian per month. In exchange for your support, you're able to access the videos about 1 week before they go live on YouTube.